Hello, welcome. I am Richard Westerby from Ivy Fertility, and today we have the amazing Dr. Saeed Danishmand from one of our clinics, the San Diego Fertility Center. Welcome.
Thank you so much. You're very kind. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you've been helping families now for 26 years
Yes.
to navigate IVF and surrogacy. And in the past 10 years that I've known you, you have really grown in your reputation as the go-to surrogacy doctor. Tell us a little bit more about how that's come about and how you're helping our patients.
I think as a father of three daughters, for me, the joy of parenthood is what has inspired me in my career, meaning that I want the same joy for my intended parents. And one of the things that I've been able to do is to connect with different intended parents in different countries, to colleagues in different countries, so that we're able to support and guide those intended parents. To give you an example, if we're talking about intended parents in the United Kingdom, as you know, because you've been such an integral part of it, we have a support team in the United Kingdom who's going to guide and support intended parents through their journey. So communication, connection, availability to those intended parents throughout the journey, I think it's critical. So I think what I've been able to do and I have done is commit myself, dedicate myself to the journeys of those intended parents, invest in their journey, because their success is our success. Their success is our purpose. So that through the team, the incredible team that we have built, not just in the US, but around the world, whether it's in Asia, in Europe, and again, you have been an integral part of that, we've been able to support and guide intended parents. And I think that that's the reason why our reputation has grown. That's the reason why we have become busier every year, and the goodwill that we've generated. If you take good care of people, then you generate a good name, a goodwill that then sort of lasts, and it's a legacy that we've built over the last quarter century.
And I think that reputation is incredibly important because when people are coming into this, there's a lot of unknown unknowns.
Right.
And the support team around them, be it doctors, nurses, or the people within my team who are
Right.
there to just help them navigate the process, that really gives that confidence in what is happening next. So a question for you, the fertility journey for LGBTQIA plus patients,
Right.
how does that look?
I mean, when you look at that community, they have many options. And one of the options is the egg donor surrogacy journey. For example, for gay male couples who want to go through the journey of becoming parents. I mean, they have many options. There's adoption. Unfortunately, adoption is not an option in many countries around the world. There's many obstacles. So surrogacy egg donation is one of them. But our focus has been not only to help guide them and support them, but to break down the barriers that exist, because there's so many barriers that we see, not only just in the US, and I think the US is probably the best place in the world for seeking fertility services and journeys to parenthood. But you and I have seen in all of our travels around the world how many obstacles and barriers are in front of intended parents. And all they want to do is become parents. They want to become fathers. They want to become mothers. They want to become parents. And so what we have tried to do over the years is to break down some of those barriers that exist for those intended parents. Now, either offering the services in the United States or something else that we're really proud of. And again, you've been integral in the creation of that, is build communities within those particular countries. Those communities support one another. So if you have a group of intended parents, for example, in Germany, who've been through the journey, they can support others and others can learn from them as they sort of navigate step by step this journey to becoming parents. So building communities, building connections, and then really help support and guide those intended parents to their ultimate goal of creating a family.
I think you bring a very valid point within the like me and the gay community, where there have been so many struggles and fights to get to the point of where we are today, which is equality for family building.
Right.
And I think being part of a group where there's always one person that's that one step ahead of you, where you can then ask them questions. I think one of the things that we rely on is to have our patients always saying, okay, where can we help?
Right.
Egg donor surrogacy for gay males is an option. What about for our gay female couples, single?
Absolutely. For gay female couples, we have services for sperm um, uh, banks that allow those particular intended parents to seek out their sperm donor. Artificial insemination, for example, if it's the first step in terms of the process of creating their family, one of the options is intrauterine insemination with a sperm donor. Another option for many gay female couples is sort of that reciprocal IVF. They talk about reciprocal IVF, meaning that they would both want to have involvement in the process. Therefore, sometimes what we've done is with one partner, we've retrieved eggs and then created the embryos and transferred to the other partner. And that's certainly an option. Of course, we want to make sure that there are good quality eggs in the ovaries, that we go through all the diagnostic testing to make sure that the other partner can carry a healthy pregnancy. So reciprocal IVF, as we call it, artificial insemination with donor sperm, access to sperm banks, getting more information about those particular sperm donors. Many, many years ago, there was limited information, infectious disease testing and some other testing like psychological testing. But now there's further analysis of those particular sperm donors. They have to go through genetic screening. They have to go through a genetic consultation to review their family history. So I think that the background, the genetic background, psychological background for sperm donors and access to that for intended parents has really evolved over the course of the last 10 plus years. So I think that now we have just as much information on sperm donors as we have on egg donors, which is a great thing for our gay female couples.
So let's break that down a little bit. So if you're a gay male couple,
yes,
you can either one or two of you provide sperm.
Yes.
You can use an egg donor, and that egg donor can provide enough eggs for one or two sperm.
Absolutely. So typically an egg donor will be able to mature and develop enough eggs to allow a gay male couple to create their embryos. So each genetic father can create their own embryos. Therefore, in a particular couple who would like to have two children, we can transfer the first embryo from one genetic father, and then in a later journey, what we call a sibling journey, the other genetic father can have his embryo transferred to the surrogate. So therefore, there are many options for gay men in terms of their journey to building their families. But most egg donors, of course, they're screened psychologically. There's egg quality screening. There's all kinds of diagnostic testing that's done to ensure their quality of their eggs and the number of eggs that they can potentially produce. And that's something that we talk about with intended parents, with intended fathers in the initial consultation, that when you're choosing your egg donor, we will do the screening, the requisite screening and testing to ensure that you're able to create the number of embryos that you wish for the family that you wish.
And so that would obviously be the same case for a single male.
Exactly right.
So that's for gay men, single men. For single women, a single woman, there would be a sperm donor option.
Exactly right.
Do IUI, which is
intrauterine insemination, where we use a mild fertility agent, for example, clomiphene citrate, mature and develop somewhere between 1 to 2, 1 to 3 eggs. We make the egg ovulate at a specific time, and we time the intrauterine insemination. In other words, we time it so that the egg is released and inside the fallopian tube at the time when we're injecting the sperm inside the uterus, so the sperm and the egg can meet and we maximize the chance of pregnancy. So that's the initial step for, let's say, a single intended mother, or for a lesbian couple who want to start with intrauterine insemination with donor sperm.
Okay. So then that leads me on to the lesbian couple. They can either do IUI, so one of them would look to get pregnant with donor sperm.
Exactly.
They could both look to get pregnant with donor sperm.
Yes.
Or we could have one of the lesbian women producing the eggs,
Exactly.
retrieve those eggs, we fertilize those, and then we place those eggs into the uterus of the other.
Exactly right. So one partner is the egg provider, the other partner is the uterine provider. So many couples want to have that so that they're both sort of feel very involved in the journey to creating their own family.
Would they need to use a surrogate?
No, as long as they're healthy, as long as we do diagnostic testing for the uterus and other factors, obviously we want to make sure that those particular intended mothers who want to carry the pregnancy don't have any medical conditions that would preclude them from being able to carry, or some medical conditions can significantly increase the risk of pregnancy. So as long as they're healthy, they have a healthy uterus, they're able to carry the pregnancy, and that's a great option for our lesbian couples.
What would be one thing that you think we need to consider in order to make the process as smooth as possible? Any patient?
Access and affordability. I think there are two things that you and I have worked on for many, many years, is providing access. So if we have a couple in Tanzania and they want to go through the process, and it's a gay couple in Tanzania who want to go through the process, where's the access? How do they start the journey? Who do they turn to? So I think increasing access to fertility care, increasing access to options. And again, we are also fighting the sort of the in-house, in-country regulations and strict barriers that exist for patients, for intended parents, especially for the LGBTQI community, for their ability to become parents. We're fighting the sort of the in-country regulations and strict barriers that exist. So access, I think, is important. And then the other factor is affordability, because many of the procedures and ways in which intended parents can achieve their goal of becoming parents, they're expensive. So how can we break down some of those barriers and break down the financial barriers? What can we do? And this is something that has been sort of our goal and our overriding efforts and energy in terms of making it more accessible and making it more affordable. So I think that those are some of the things that we should continue to work on, and something that we've been working on for many, many years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.